Welcome to another episode of Learn from People Who Lived It.
Well, hey, everybody. It's Matthew, and we're back with another One Great Teaching, Tuesdays with CoCo. I'm going to bring her in right now. Courtney, we're going to have this conversation around frequency over force. And, you know, when I talk to people about this idea that I have called air checking your life and really looking at it and saying, what am I getting right? What's going okay? And where do I need to make some big changes? I feel like this topic inserts itself perfectly into that because there's a lot of really highly qualified, capable people. And the thing that got them to where they are now seems to be the same thing that's keeping them stuck. And I can really, really relate to this idea of, I got to get it done. I got to force it through. I got to make this happen. And you know, you've been really instrumental in my life to help me understand that force might not be the answer. Frequency might be the answer. And so I'll start with this question. What was it about this topic that made it something you wanted to get into today? Has this been something you've noticed in your own life? Is this something you saw in somebody else? What was the motivation for it?
Well, specifically, I remember last week when we were talking and that point really landed with you. I think it was actually during the meditation that it came out.
It was.
That line, it's frequency, you know, the universe doesn't respond to force, it responds to frequency. And so when we were brainstorming ideas for today, it felt apropos to just bring that back in. Yeah.
You're exactly right. That's how we ended last week's podcast. And you got up on the stage and you just dropped that microphone on me. And I was like, okay, this makes a lot of sense. This is a full body. Yes, we need to be talking about this. How would you, in your own mind, define somebody who's trying to force something to happen? I know. Think about that.
Well, it seems to me that it's more, we've all felt this, right? And we're hyper conditioned to think we have to go out and get things and make it happen and all of that. And there is some validity in that, in the sense that we take action by the very nature of just being human and operating in this dimension, in this world, right? So action is just fundamental and it's innate. We want to take action, right? And when you see little kids, you realize they're taking action all the time. And I think bringing little kids in is the perfect way to think about it, because they're taking action, but the action arises of itself. It's not trying to get somewhere. It's not trying to achieve anything. It's just acting, playing.
Like it just is, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, here's what I want to ask, and let's just chop this up a little bit. But how does that differ from somebody who's got a goal and they're trying to chase that goal? And I guess that's the end of the question. How does that compare to somebody who's like chasing a goal and has something in mind, like has an end result in mind?
When you say that, I'm reminded of something Anthony DeMello said years ago. He said, both what you're running away from and what you're chasing after are within you. And I often think about that, you know, what I'm racing toward and what I'm running away from, right? It's all right there. And the trick is getting with it. And that's the hardest thing to do. We don't want to get with it. You know, we want to keep racing after something and then we get it and we don't feel fulfilled, or we're running away from something, which makes us feel angsty. Angsty? Did I just make that up? Angsty?
You did, and I like it. That's your new book. That'll be the third book that Courtney puts out at some point. She's got these two books here, and then look for Angsty coming out next year sometime.
Oh God, please don't let that be the subject of the next book. But it just, you know, provokes a lot of anxiety and dissatisfaction and all of that. And so I've talked a lot in the second book too about the difference between performing and playing. And I think lots of times we can have a goal, right? We do have goals by just, again, our very nature. There are things that we desire, that we alight our focus and our attention on, and that are juicy to us, right? And so the crux lies not so much in having the vision, without a vision the people perish, as the saying goes, but it's in that, again, that sense of striving. And so we see I consider it more inside of ourselves, right? In the sense of, you feel it when you're in that gnarly kind of, I'm running after something, or this feels performance based. It doesn't feel authentic. It doesn't feel real to me. And I think it's those moments that we get to take a step back and consider, how would I want to feel, or even just relaxing into the spin that we're in can then create a lot of forward moving momentum when we start acting again. But it's the relaxation principle that we always come back to. And that's the frequency, right? When we talk about frequency versus force, is, it's like if someone's really demanding something from you, your response most likely is going to be no, or we'll see about that, or, some kind of frustration back. And as far as I can tell, that's how life operates too. When we're getting in that really demanding, I need this thing now, forcing, trying to cajole, trying to contrive things to our liking, it doesn't, usually life doesn't respond super well to that, versus, okay, I'm relaxed. And of course I have a vision. I'm excited about things. I want to bring this into my, what I'm experiencing right now. Like, it's there because I can imagine it. So, yeah.
If you just joined us, for those that are watching on YouTube, we're on with Courtney McDermott. She is an author, she is a speaker, and today we're talking about frequency over force. I want to move into the frequency portion of this conversation, because I think for some people, and look, I'm still kind of learning this a little bit, but like, what is frequency? What do you mean when you say that?
Yes, I love that you're asking that, because lots of times people think of frequency as kind of a woo-woo thing, but frequency, when I talk about it, I'm specifically talking about, for instance, brainwave frequencies, right? Which is the predominant thing I like to bring us back to, which is, again, we've talked about this numerous times. People can get an in-depth understanding there or in the books, but if most of us are going around in this high range beta every day and we're sort of pedal to the metal, we got to get there, we're just going to be exhausted. And yes, we may get there, but as we were saying earlier, the sense of frustration, the sense of anxiety, the sense of, okay, now I've got this, what else can I get? That will never leave, because of, again, the brainwave frequencies are you're in a spin. You're just basically in a spin. So high range beta, which is what most people are going around in, is just going to feel exhausting. And so, yeah, so it's kind of just basic, kind of 101 of things that we want to try to relax so that we can get into these other frequencies that just feel way better. And what we're wanting to see in our lives, what we're wanting to experience, comes to us with such greater ease. Yeah.
How do you settle into frequency? What does that look like for you?
Oh man. So I've definitely had so many times when I force, like even today, felt a little bit like, oh, I do not want to get back on. I had resistance to it in my body, and I had to, and even though I had so many things going on this morning, I had to time myself out. And right before coming here and getting on the podcast, I just laid down. I was like, Mama's going to just lie down and take a fiver, which it was really only 5 minutes that I had before coming here for this, but I was feeling myself in a spin. And I know that after this, even though I've got a lot of other commitments, there will be pockets of, okay, just go get horizontal, because I have to, not have to, but I just enjoy life so much more when I'm in that relaxed frequency. And so it's a reminder to me too, when I talk about these things, it's like all the things we talk about are the things we need. But I love when I can actually not only be reminded, but put it into action, because it really changes things for me. Yeah.
For somebody who's new to frequency, how can they do it? Or what's your best suggestion there? Because I'm thinking like prayer is one way. I'm thinking meditation is a good way to settle into a frequency. I love what you always say, yawn or lay down. But there certainly must be like you know who I'm imagining right now, Courtney? I'm imagining the person that's like, what are you talking about frequency? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. I don't even understand frequency. And you may need to like geek out on us a little bit because you know, you're a really brilliant woman with a lot of really cool information in your head. How did you come to frequency?
Yeah, okay. So if we want to bring it back to science, right, we can bring it back at least, just for the sake of the time that we have here, to at least two things. So when I talk about things like beta and being in high range beta, we're actually talking about cycles per second that are running in your brain. And so
Okay.
it's a very fast, but also very erratic. It's a very erratic brainwave frequency. So what that means is, like I said, you're going to feel uncomfortable because your body is actually releasing a lot of cortisol. So it's creating a lot of stress, a lot of adrenaline. And those things are not necessarily in and of themselves bad, but it's the amounts that are being released into your bloodstream when you're in high beta. So when people are running around being like, oh, just get me another coffee, just get me another coffee, but they're feeling like crap. Okay. And they're just forcing. And then they wonder why they just feel like they're going to break down or burn out or whatever that looks like. And that's because they're in that brainwave frequency. Again, it is cycles per second in your brain. Now, fast cycles in your brain don't necessarily indicate a problem. For instance, you could be in gamma, which is extremely fast, but it's also an extremely harmonious frequency. So I've been in gamma before, and it's beyond description, the experience that you have as you're walking through this life. And I've played around a lot with brainwave frequencies to try to understand how we can access some of them. So to your question, one of the simplest ways, in fact, the simplest way, and most people will ignore this, is literally to get horizontal, to lay your body down, and to just breathe normally. You don't have to do anything special with your breath. If you yawn, great, because that'll start releasing oxytocin and serotonin and just kind of jazz you up with some other feel-good chemicals and neurotransmitters into your bloodstream. Great. So that's what we're talking about on one side. We're also talking about the magnetic field around your body, and especially around not just your mind, but your heart and the other centers of your body. Now, you have different body minds, right? Your heart is likely the most powerful. It's interesting because when this was being measured, the scientist who had this idea that he wanted to be able to measure the electromagnetic field around the heart, the scientific community shunned him and made fun of him. And years later, he got the Nobel Prize for this discovery. And what we've seen through his research and through subsequent research, for instance, from the HeartMath Institute, is that the field around your body, the electromagnetic field, is hundreds, if not thousands of times more powerful than the one around your mind. So what's happening is you're actually sending signals as well. So it's not just your brainwave frequencies that are operating in a way that are either conducive or not to your stress, conducive or not to your well-being and to your satisfaction in life, but you also have these fields, these force fields that are actively engaging others and your environment. So you're engaging with your environment through these signals that you're sending. Now, the more relaxed you are and the more focused you can be, this relaxed focus that we sometimes talk about. And again, this is where you start changing brainwave frequencies. You get out of beta, you get into alpha, very easy. You can do it with classical music. You can do it by going for a walk around the block without your devices. You could do it by, as I said, lying down, just getting horizontal. You can do it by some deep breathing. There's so many ways that you can, within minutes, shift your brainwave frequency. But again, as you do this, you're also emitting a different electric frequency from these different body minds. And then that's picked up by like frequencies. And all of this is kind of like a beautiful figure 8 when it's operating smoothly. Does that make sense?
It makes great sense. And I feel like I've walked us perfectly to the last few minutes of our time together, which you usually give us all a meditation. Like I said, I think prayer and meditation are probably two of the most powerful ways to jump into a frequency and settle the mind and body down. So I'm going to get out of your way And for those that are able to, I hope that you'll join us in this meditation. And if you happen to be driving right now, then you can come back to it. But the floor is yours, Court.
Okay, I love it. All right. Yes, if you're driving, if you're operating heavy machinery, please do not follow us. You can come back to this later, but just extending the invitation to all who are listening and able to go ahead and close your eyes if that feels good. And beginning to just notice your breath. Not forcing the breath in any way, just feeling it as it rises and falls out of your body. Allowing yourself the space to drop in. Dropping into different frequencies, dropping into different signals, dropping in to the truth that resides when we get quiet in that space. Allowing yourself to just be. Giving yourself permission to slow down, which can slow down these frequencies so that you can move through life with so much greater ease and contentment. And if it feels good, noticing where your hands are, maybe placing one on your heart or both on your heart. As you breathe into the beat of this moment that you're gifting yourself. And if you do have a vision of something that's really strong, placing it there in your heart as you bask in the beat, to have this vision be picked up by like frequencies wherever you go. And if you want to keep laying there, feel free to do so. And if instead you want to come back here with us, I invite you to open your eyes and join us back on the screen.
The question is, we have a different frequency right now, correct?
Mm-hmm.
This is what Courtney's talking about, is finding a way to get into this space. Thank you, Court, as always, for one great teaching. And thanks to everybody for watching today. Please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. We're building the channel. We're building the podcast. It would be so wonderful to have you along for the ride. Tomorrow, Dr. Dave is back and we present to everybody Dr. Dave's Mind Works. Have you had a chance to listen to some of the content that Dave has kicked out? Because, man, is it incredible?
I'm sure.
Yeah. I invite you to check out a couple of them. We've been talking about metacognition the last couple of weeks, and it's been really, really fascinating because he's so analytical about it. And he's like breaking it down step by step by step. It's been very interesting. So anyways, Dave and I will be back tomorrow. Court, have a great rest of your week. And thanks everybody for watching.
You too.